For 4,500 years, one structure has stood as this incredible testament to human ambition, a puzzle of engineering that honestly still captivates us. So today, we're going to dive into how on earth the ancient Egyptians pulled off one of the greatest construction projects in all of history.
I mean, it's the ultimate question, right? When you look at the Great Pyramid of Giza, you're looking at a masterpiece that just seems to completely defy its own timeline. How is this even possible?
Just think about any construction site you've ever seen. It's buzzing with cranes, power tools, laser-guided levels. The builders of the pyramids? Nope, they had none of that. What they had was human muscle, very basic materials, and an ingenuity that is just, well, it's breathtaking.
And here's the real kicker. It wasn't just about building something big, it was about the precision. The pyramids were built with a level of accuracy that would be a serious challenge for modern engineers, even with all the incredible tech we have today.
Okay, so to really get the genius behind this, first we just have to wrap our heads around the sheer scale of this project. I mean, the numbers alone are completely mind-boggling.
Get this, the total weight of the Great Pyramid of Giza is estimated to be 6 million tons. Just try to picture that for a second.
To put that into perspective, let's think about the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building on Earth. It weighs around 500,000 tons. The Great Pyramid is 12 times heavier. That's like stacking 12 of the world's tallest skyscrapers on top of each other. It's just insane.
And this colossal weight is made up of about 2.3 million individual blocks of stone. And we're not talking about your average bricks here. Some of the granite blocks, the ones deep inside the pyramid, weighed up to 50 tons each.
And the footprint? It's huge. It covers 13 acres, meaning you could literally squeeze 9 whole football fields inside its base. This thing isn't just a tall building, it's a sprawling, man-made mountain of stone.
Now, a structure this massive needs a flawless foundation. Any little imperfection, and the whole thing comes crashing down. So how did they get such incredible precision without any modern tools?
First up, there's the alignment. The Great Pyramid is aligned to the cardinal points, north, south, east, and west, with almost zero error. I mean, how is that even possible without a compass?
Well, the answer, believe it or not, was literally written in the stars. By watching the pole star, Polaris, which basically stays put in the night sky, ancient astronomers could get a fixed reference point. From there, they could draw a perfectly straight line to true north. It's a simple idea, but absolutely brilliant.
All right, next problem, leveling. That massive 13-acre base had to be perfectly flat for the pyramid to be stable. Even a tiny slant would have been a total disaster down the line.
Their solution here was just pure genius. They most likely dug a whole grid of trenches across the site, filled them up with water, and then marked the water level. And since water always finds a perfect level, that gave them an exact reference point. All they had to do then was chisel away every bit of rock above that water line. And boom, a perfectly flat base.
So, they've got this perfect foundation. Awesome. But now comes the real logistical nightmare. Quarrying, cutting, and then transporting millions of tons of stone to the actual construction site.
Remember, steel tools weren't even a thing back then. So how in the world did they cut through 2.3 million blocks of limestone with such precision?
Well, they used what they had, and they made it work. The Egyptians were amazing metallurgists, and they figured out how to create these pretty tough chisels from copper hardened with arsenic. It was a brutal, painstaking process, just countless hours of chipping away at the stone, but it got the job done.
And let's not forget those massive granite blocks for the inner chambers. Again, some weighed up to 50 tons. Can you imagine trying to move something that weighs the same as 3 city buses?
And they weren't quarried next door either. The really high-quality limestone came from a place called Tura, 250 kilometers away. So the Egyptians were smart. They used the Nile River as a kind of superhighway, loading these colossal stones onto massive barges and floating them right to the site. A logistical feat that would be a challenge even today.
And all of this brings us to the final and probably the most famous challenge. How did they lift these multi-ton blocks 480 feet into the sky?
So how was it done? Well, the theory that most experts agree on points to a system of massive ramps. Archaeologists still debate whether these ramps spiraled around the outside or went straight up one side, but the basic idea was the same. A huge coordinated effort of sheer human power, dragging these massive stones upwards, one agonizing inch at a time.
But wait, it gets even crazier. Inside the pyramid, for the really important chambers, the builders used granite, one of the hardest stones on Earth. The question that stumped experts of centuries was, how did they cut this nearly diamond-hard material so perfectly smooth with just copper tools?
The answer just shows you how incredibly patient and clever they were. They used a toothless copper saw, but get this, the saw itself wasn't doing the cutting. Instead, they poured a brace of sand, probably full of quartz, into the cut. As they dragged the saw back and forth, the sand did all the grinding. This process was incredibly slow. It could take up to 4 months of non-stop work just to cut through a single block of granite.
So when you step back and look at it,
We've pieced together so many of the hows, how they aligned it, leveled it, cut the stones, lifted them. And each solution reveals a level of planning and problem solving that is just truly timeless.
But even with everything we think we know, the pyramids still hold on to its secrets. I mean, just recently, robotic cameras have explored these narrow shafts and found sealed doors deep inside. So the final question is, after solving all these incredible